adapt. Another community taking proactive steps to adapt to the challenge of climate change is Bunkers Hill, located in the parish of Trelawney. This farming community has had an ongoing problem of losing crops and being unable to reach their farms due to flooding during heavy rains.
This area is really a farming area, wherein we have a lot of farmers to do a bit of yam here. We have a lot of mixed farming done here also.
When we first received the concept, we saw the problem as being bigger than CBA project. However, based on our mandate in supporting communities, we thought that this is something that would really participate in. What the problem they're having is their livelihoods are being threatened by flooding. Whenever the rain falls, there's a bridge that they need to use to access their farm, and it's been flooding all over to the part where it's threatening homes along the riverbanks and so forth.
When the rain falls, this place is completely flooded, covered. If you could see the bridge here, that bridge. When the rain falls, the bridge cannot take the volume of water. So it come up to the railing and it push back the water across here. Nobody can go over there. We couldn't be standing here now, and the van and the vehicles could not be parked here.
We are part of the lower cockpit country. When the upper cockpit country, talking about St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and so on, when flooding takes place, most of the water comes down into this valley, including chemicals that is harmful. Now we have what you call an artesian valley basin. Means to say all the water sits down into a basin here. So we have to protect the Martha Brae watershed system and ecosystem. You understand? We have to do that. And the only way we can do that is to make sure that we protect all the tributaries that come into here from the different areas comes into the system. Most of the water that goes to Montego Bay, all the way to Hanover, to Ribuna and places like that comes into the system. So we have to protect that in terms of climate change. So when we have extensive flooding, we can't stop that. But in a normal process, we can divert some of the water and make sure the people's livelihoods are protected.
When the bridge is blocked and the whole place is covered with water, can't come across, can't get to the farm, produce like these, have to stay there and spoil. So it's a big loss to us that we really need the bridge, the place to be fixed.
Despite the delays of the project, we're still going on because in implementing it, there are changes and deviations, and that's where we are. But in any case, we see those things as lessons learned. So the delay in implementing the project is beneficial. The National Works Agency ensured that the community prepared the relevant drawings and documentation, went through the feasibility study, and gotten the okay or the approval for them to go ahead. And this is one of the projects that has been recognized and been looked at globally, because obviously a lot of other communities, not just nationally, are having the same challenge, and they really want to see how we are tackling it. So we're looking forward to that at the end of the project.
The culverts have been here for at least a year, courtesy of UNDP. What we intend to do is to use 2 rows of culverts under and across the roadway so that we can divert at least half of the water from the infrastructure of the bridge.
The Bunkers Hill project is a nice example of the interaction between livelihoods and environment.
And what they're doing there is trying to control what is happening in the environment because of climate change in a way that is useful to their livelihoods and useful to everybody in the area. So where the water is coming in and going to potentially do damage to farms and other areas, we hope that we're playing a role in making a positive contribution and making an environmentally sensible change and mitigation in terms of what is needed for climate change.
If we're looking at some of these impacts going towards the end of the century, these impacts will not just suddenly occur at the end of the century. In fact, we begin to see some of these things happening now, and the changes will continue to happen as we go towards the end of the century. It therefore means that we can't wait to begin to prepare for these things. We know this is going to happen. We are beginning to see the impact of climate change. We need to make appropriate actions to prepare for climate change, and we have to do that now. Finding the best action in itself can be a time-consuming thing. And when we find some of the good actions, they take time to be implemented, and of course, time to mature and for us to see that these are in fact the best actions that we can take. So adaptation is one of the things that we have to do. We have to realize that this is the context within which we are going to live, and so we have to adapt, and we have to adapt now. This is part of some of the research that is being done. The research is trying to show what are the impacts, link these impacts to society, link these impacts to various sectors, to agriculture, to communities, to water sector, to the built environment. Once we know those linkages, then we can begin to formulate these kind of adaptation actions, and we can begin the process of finding ways to implement these adaptation actions, but bearing in mind that we have to begin that implementation process from the present and then tailor or change or continue as we go into the future.
Community-based adaptation projects are the key to anything successful with environmental management, because the communities are the ones that are relating to the environment, involved with the environment, and are going to continue to be the main point of contact with the environment, no matter what happens in the future.